States, and he's got Heyman! He's got Heyman! Figure four time!
We are here on the Figure 4 show, less than 24 hours from the results that we had last night with Survivor Series War Games. My boy Tim being a father of two now, had to bring in little Junior into the scene. What's up, my boy? I know wearing that Ohio State hat, man, you still gonna rep, and it was a little rough for you last night.
Yes, sir.
But we gonna dig right into this again. I don't know. It was either you or Todd last night. Text, I was not impressed. That's exactly the hashtag that should be on this match. We're gonna talk about each one, but it was like one of the worst. Because for me, Survivor Series, and I texted to y'all. It's usually because how everyone doesn't like this one out of the core four, right? Out of SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and this, they don't like this one. But usually, what they do is for this show, they always have someone debut or return. They didn't have none of that shit this year, so I guess War Games was it. I'm not a fan of War Games, even after seeing that result too. It made it even like cherry on top of it. But we're gonna go into the female one. Team Belair versus Team Damage Control. Who won this one? It was Team
Belair won.
I mean, the only pop that I liked, or I guess it was a return. They should have just had the return happen yesterday. Was the man is back, right? Big time Becky's back, and I'm so happy. I think the pop would have been much better yesterday than it was for a SmackDown or Raw, whichever one she returned to.
SmackDown.
Yeah, so like I honestly think they fumbled that one because that would have been a great pop if they would have came before and the mystery person was still a thing. Overall, it was a good match. I'm not real big on like Nikki Cross, but seeing Rhea Ripley back in the scene, knowing her injuries, she's cleared now, and of course the two Japanese wrestlers I'm a fan of. Well, I just wanted to see how'd you felt about this whole match and the results because I hate War Games. I just hate it.
Yeah, the match itself, I agree with you with the Becky angle. I think especially because they let her come in last, she definitely could have been in the back the whole time, and then her music just dropped, and the pop would have been insane.
Yeah.
Which would have really saved that match, in my opinion, because there was way too many blunders in that match. It was sloppy wrestling. And I'm surprised, too, because the lineup that we have, which I'm not a real big fan of Dakota Kai, but as a whole, the individuals in that match aren't bad wrestlers. Like they're usually pretty clean, pretty much smooth. But for whatever reason, yesterday that match just all over the place was sloppy.
Yeah,
it was terrible wrestling. Like it was hard to watch. I'm watching it like, yo, what is this? Like, this is not what I expected. The results I think are good. I think that's what you have to have because I think the setup of Becky's return to help with the damage control thing is short-lived. I think Becky's going to stab her in the back. She has the belt. She wants the belt. We all know that's coming. That's okay. Like, doesn't surprise me any. Although they might try to keep her face. They have enough heels right now. They could try to keep her face for a little while. Let her run her little thing with Bayley. Let Rhea and Bianca battle it out for the title until they switch it up, and then, maybe have you helped me out when I needed it. I'm going to throw you a title shot, and then let Becky and Belair go at it again.
Man, where do you see the angles? Like, because this is the thing, like, and it's going to be a trend on this whole pay-per-view, is like the angles of every other person on here. It's like Survivor Series, they stack all the teams, team of 5 versus team of 5, but like storyline-wise, when it comes to Damage Control, you were kind of hinting towards it, with Damage Control and Team Belair, like, this ends up, it has to spread out, right? You have to get these other, like, things happening prior to Mania. I mean, Charlotte, I don't know what's going on with her. She might be coming back soon. Sasha Banks might be coming back soon. Like, there's a lot of, like, hints towards a lot of returns, but it's like, what do you do with Damage Control after this? Like, is Bayley still going for the belt?
Keep talking about this is supposed to be the end of their feud, but this match didn't set anything up for the future, so I really don't know where they're going to go. Like I said, it's one of those things where I think maybe Becky and Damage Control now have a thing going on, and Sasha moves on, not Sasha, excuse me, Bianca moves on to go head-to-head with Rhea maybe, but then you got Mia. But Mia and Ripley are still got this little beef thing going, so like I really don't know what this match, like I said, it was just sloppy overall, and there's no like. Normally, you come out of matches like this, like, oh, that's where they're going. I don't know where they're going.
I literally was thinking that when you were bringing that up. It's like there's no storylines that all of us can discuss. Like I can't wait for Raw because this is this. We don't have that with the women's section. I agree on that totally because I don't see anything like Bianca Belair to me has to go against Becky because there's a rematch that she's owed, right? So it's
Becky
like
or Rhea. That's the only angle I see. It's gotta be Becky or Rhea.
That's pretty much it. So we're gonna go to this next match. Two of my favorite all-time performers, Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. CBS got this graded at a B plus. I always enjoy a Finn versus Styles match. You know how I am. I love these technical, high-flying, acrobatic type of matches, and it was pretty. Overall, I'm just glad that I didn't have to see freaking Dominic Mysterio freaking fight, and that was pretty much it. I liked the whole match. It was probably the match I enjoyed throughout the whole card. What about you?
So this match was a good match. I agree. AJ, I think, is slowly on his way out the door. Unfortunately, I don't see too many they got guys like, oh, one more title shot. I just don't see it with AJ. I mean, no knock to him. I just don't see it. The match was great. I think they did it perfectly too with having the two groups fight out of the arena. That way, the match at the end was just straight up Finn versus AJ. Whoever wins, wins. I think that was perfect, especially because this is another one of those matches that's supposed to be, this is the last thing between us, and there's no more heat, which we know is a lie. Yeah. They fought out of the arena. The heat's still there. So, it's fine, though. I think the match was good. I think this overall, I guess I'll just start off by saying I should start with the women's. Overall, this entire card, like you said, was just not very impressive. The entire card front to back. Like, it just, I don't know what it was. Maybe I was just expecting more. Maybe my expectations are way too high. I don't know.
It's a core 4 pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
Like this match was cool. Like it was all right. It just, and that's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna talk about this, and in a couple months, no one's gonna talk about this again. So
All right, man. So we go from there, right? So you saying Styles out the door? You don't see no other things that he should? Is he a Grand Slam champion? I'm pretty sure he held every title.
I don't think he's ever held any Continental. I don't think he's ever held that.
That's the one I was thinking. Like, I'm gonna have to look this up. But where do you see
I don't think it's like soon. I just think like he's a mid Carter guy full time now. He's not
full time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think he's a main eventer anymore. I think he's a mid Carter guy till he decides that he's done. Which that could be another couple years from now. Who knows? He might find a new spark. Because I think that's maybe just what it is. He's missing a spark to levitate him to that level again when he first come into the WWE. He come in as one of the hottest free agents, and he had all the fire. That's kind of died down. He hasn't really reinvented himself since. He's still that same guy. So maybe we're talking about 6 months from now, he reinvents himself, comes back with a different type of attitude.
Oh, he has won the IC title, so he's won it all.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a Grand Slam champion. So he pretty much what you said as a mid Carter, he's just gonna elevate young talent at this point. Unless once he becomes free agent, I'd say just send your ass to AEW and see how far you could go with them. Because then you look, that's another.
As a fan, I'd like to see some of those matches over there, but I don't think he needs to run over there. I think that kind of waters down his career.
What do you mean? Like, if he gets the AEW title, then there's like, how many people can say they've held
now he's just chasing
both?
titles. Now he's just chasing titles. I think he's where he belongs. I think at this point in his career, he's a mid Carter that's used to levitate talent. I mean, sure you can do that in any business, but he's already in WWE, so why wouldn't he? Dexter pushed it open.
Yeah, I see that. Where do you see Judgment Day going forward with this? Because I don't see an angle for them either. Especially if Rhea Ripley's cleared to fight again, I'm pretty sure she's gonna break away and start doing her own single stuff.
Yeah, like I said, there's just one of those things where there's no the card as a whole is just weak to me. Like there's not much, if anything, there. Judgment Day has been played out. I don't know how they're still a faction. No one likes them, and I don't know, maybe because they're heels. That's how it's supposed. No, like people like heels. Like, let's get that straight. people always root for heels, even though they're heels. I've never heard anybody say, "Yeah, I like Judgment Day." I've never heard it. Like, no, a single soul likes Judgment Day. Like, people like Finn in singles. People like Priest in singles. No one really cares for Dom. He needs more work. But it's just like one of those things to where, like, what are we doing here? We're wasting their careers, honestly. Like, unless they start trying to beef with the butt, but even then, they don't have enough heat for that, bro. Like, no one wants to see that. Like, nobody wants to see that. So I don't know where they're going with Judgment Day. Like I said, this was supposed to be the squash match between the two leaders. I think that beef still goes on. I think you still get the OC versus Judgment Day until they figure out what they want to do.
That's pretty much where I was gonna go. Is like when you want to talk about mid carding with AJ, it doesn't help that the OC's back together because that's really gonna hold him down in the mid card section anyway. So we're going to this next match.
I won't say that because you got to remember when they were beating the hell out of John Cena, the OC was there, and AJ was going on this major push. You know, he's just beating the shit out of John Cena repeatedly.
That's true.
Getting a push up. That's what I said. I think once they break away from the Judgment Day, they can start doing stuff like that again. Where AJ, because I think it needs to happen. I think AJ's better as a heel than he is a face. I think AJ needs to flip heel, let his faction run its course, and try to be what the Judgment Day wants to be, but they're not.
That's true. I can see that. All right, so we're gonna go to this next match, which was like if you look at the timeline, like on Peacock, they give you these gold little dots of when it ends, and you had the War Games that were like this long, and then you had freaking Ronda versus Shotzi that was like this small. So this match was boring. This match was of course, shout out to my boy Eric. This was the piss match. Ronda, I've always, I'm a Ronda fan. And I've always thought of Shayna Baszler and her together would be good heels. I was completely wrong. This is horrible. Like, I don't know. Like I said, Ronda needs a real good manager and she just needs to shut up and fight. Just be like the female Brock and just fight. That's it. Just because every time she talks, it just ruins the whole thing. It's like, it's just freaking. Yeah. And you know me, I'm a Ronda fan. And I'm watching like this whole thing unfold. I was like, first of all, I'm a Shotzi fan because she's from the Bay Area, right? So she's from Oakland, and I'm always gonna root for someone from the Bay Area. And it was good to see her get her opportunity, but at the same time, CBS graded as a D. It was an F. That was an F for me. What about you?
We're in agreement. The match was bad. But that was a Ronda match for me every time. I feel about Ronda all the time. I think what you made a good point though. You've honestly always said that you like Shayna and Ronda together. That you thought that'd be a killer tag team. I think you're right. I think the problem is they're not being booked as a tag team. They're just being booked as buddies, beating the hell out of everybody, and they're not fighting the right people. And that's the big thing with Ronda. There's no knock to Shotzi. Shotzi's just not that type of star that gives Ronda the help that she needs because. Right. I've said it multiple times and you disagree, but Ronda is not a very good wrestler. Mm-mm. She isn't. She needs somebody else to carry her. That's why her matches with Becky were good, because Becky carried her. They weren't good, but they were decent enough to like, okay, I'm okay with that.
You can survive.
Her fights with Charlotte, I'm okay with that. Like, because she has another superstar who's capable of carrying her through that match that helps her look good. It's the same thing like if you go back to Kevin Owens and Stone Cold. Stone Cold's not Stone Cold still, but he looked like it because Kevin Owens is that good of a wrestler. He sold that stuff. He helped him get through there. And I think yesterday we saw Ronda for what she was because she didn't have a counterpart to carry her. That's what I've always said about Ronda. She's a ticket seller, sure. Like even with Brock, I hate when Brock's around because I know it's just a money grab, but at least Brock is entertaining in the ring. Like at least he's entertaining, and I don't get that with Ronda. And hopefully she figures it out because the shows ain't going anywhere, and I'm tired of seeing these like you said piss matches. Like I was watching this and like, bro, I wanted to like Tia even said at the end of it, I was surprised you didn't fast forward that. And I was like, the only reason I watched it is because I wanted to have a talking point when it comes to the show. It's the only reason I watched it.
Yeah, see, man, and you brought it up as if they were booked as a tag team, Shayna can carry that tag team because she's actually a really good wrestler. So I could see that, but she has the single strap. She needs to once she drops it. I can see them going for those tag titles, which would be a better benefit for Ronda right now because she's not really good right now as a single champion. Like maybe Like I don't know the storyline with Charlotte right now. Like I don't know what happened. She's probably hurt or something. I don't know nothing about why
Yeah,
she's
she just.
off.
I thought I heard that she was hurt and she wanted a break, so they kind of just meshed that all into one, to where
Well
she was
then,
actually off to recover, but she's off on personal time as well.
well then she needs to drop the strap back to what's her name? Freaking the damn. What's her name? Liv Morgan. She needs to drop
Yeah.
it to her one more time. Let her get her run. You and Shayna, unless Shayna's hurt, and the reason why she hasn't been wrestling. But I think that's the route she needs
Weeks
to go.
ago.
Oh,
She
okay.
had wrestled 2 weeks ago.
I just need that to happen. Like they'll be a killer tag team. So we're going to this next match, which was to me okay. If I didn't have to pick Finn and Styles, this was the match to watch. Of course everyone loves a match where Seth Rollins is in. Bobby Lashley can hold his own, and Austin Theory, as much as I don't like him, he did his thing in this match too. It was a really good match. The best reaction for the results, if you see the crowd, you have mixed like yes and no's about it, but Theory wins his second title, pinning Rollins after a spear that Lashley had. That was a good finish to me. It's a Theory type of victory, stealing someone's thunder right there. I enjoyed it. CBS graded as an A. I agree. It was a real good match. Of course, you're gonna get your beast mode from Bobby, and then high flying and technical wrestling from the other two. It was a good mix. I like the chemistry in that matchup. The result I think is perfect because he's a good heel and he gets under people's skin. I think that was a good one. I just want to know after you talk about this, where do you see Rollins going next? Like because obviously this shouldn't be. I don't want him to go against Theory to get the belt back. I really feel like he has something. There's something else planned for him.
Yeah, this match stole the show for me. I mean, outside of, I take that cautiously because I think the ending of the last match, the main event, was perfect for. It's the only one that had an actual future
Story,
to it.
yeah.
But this match was the best match on the card. Although, like you say, a little bit of everything. You've seen it. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm not a fan of Theory, but after last night, this new Theory that H has given us, this not so spoiled, I'm pissed off, I'm gonna prove I belong mentality. It works.
Yeah, I like it.
I admitted on, I don't know if it was maybe 3 podcasts ago, I admitted I was too harsh on Theory. He's actually pretty good. I mean, I just didn't like him personality wise, which is his character, or whatever. But like this new character we're getting from him, I can get behind this kid.
Yeah.
I think he's talented. I think he has the right cocky attitude, and it's not a spoiled cocky attitude, which is what I couldn't get with. So I like the match. I'd agree. I think the ending, because you want to put the title on Theory, I think the ending makes sense. Theory didn't actually straight up beat anybody. He was about to be finished.
Yeah.
Bobby decided to spear, last effort, and out of that, he was recovering. Theory just happened to fall on top of Seth. Now, I talked about it yesterday. You just mentioned it, the future of Seth. Me and you, almost anybody will always agree Seth's a main eventer guy. You'd like to see him in that mix. I think what they're doing with him in the mid card though is good because it's elevating those titles that we think needs rebuilt anyhow.
Right.
So I think that works perfectly. But Seth ain't gonna let somebody pin him and not go run his fade back. You know what I mean? So we're gonna see that match again. But at the same time, Bobby could easily say, "Well, I finished the match. You just got lucky and fell on top of him." So we might mess around and see another triple threat just because.
Which I wouldn't mind.
Because I don't know what they're gonna do with Bobby, right? Because they had Bobby lose to Brock, which we thought was stupid.
Yeah.
But they built him up. But they built him up by beating the hell out of Brock. So he has still this little momentum. Fans are still behind him. I'm not real sure what they're doing with Bobby yet either. As a whole, all 3 of those really don't have a direction. All we know is Theory got rebranded and he's winning titles again. I think it's good for his career. You know, Seth, they're elevating him, but those other 2 guys in that match as well are good enough to be main event guys. So what are we doing with those guys? I think what we do with Seth depends a lot about how I feel about what this future holds for Mania. So
yeah, Mania is gonna be. We're gonna be talking about this after this next one. So the main event, again, it was the Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes. So you had the Usi and the and the Brutesies, or whatever they call it, the Bruties. All in all, like I don't know who brought it up, but Sheamus right now is on fire in 2022.
I talked about that.
Yeah, the whole Brawling Brooks. I mean, every faction he's ever been in has been good, except the one where he was with Wade and Rusev. I forgot what the league
That was still good.
the League of
Still,
Nations. I think they short lived it because I
they
think
were
there was something.
That was the thing, was that they didn't get enough push. It was
Yeah.
very short lived, but they were decent. They
Yeah, they're all one of my favorite like wrestlers at the time. Like I liked every single one of those people, even the one that's locked up. What's his name? What's the Mexican dude's name? Oh man,
remember.
Alberto Del Rio. There you go.
Del Rio.
Yeah. So I'm a fan. I was a fan of all those cats. But you know, Sheamus right now is the hottest ticket right now as far as WWE. The match was okay. Like I said, I have ADHD, so it's like it's very hard for me to focus for an hour and a half of one match. So especially when you're telling me the match doesn't start until all 10 fighters are in there. So basically, they're just beating each other up for until everyone's there, and then ding, ding, ding. I'm like, bro, now the match. Like I was already out of it. Like I was like, nah, I can't do this, man. So I mean, all in all, there was a lot of storytelling in this. You know, Jay started with Pete Dunne or Butch, and the next one came in was supposed to be Jimmy. Oh yeah, but I'm talking about from the bloodline. It was supposed to be Jimmy, and then Roman said, "Nah, go ahead, Sammy." And I loved it because he, as a leader, you're like, "All right, y'all gonna have to fix this thing and get each other's trust in there." Instead of the Usos doing it, and I love that part of it because then you saw Sammy save him from Ridge off the cage, and saw there was so many storylines that happened within the match. Was like you brought it up. This is probably the only match that really had a direction after the result, and you know we all are big fans of KO. KO's storyline right now with the Bloodline trying to get Sammy to wake his ass up. Like, hey man, you gotta wake up, man. Like these guys are gonna turn on you soon. To the fact of when they all celebrated, if you saw it, Roman they zoomed in Roman's face and he was looking at KO while everyone's still facing this way. He looks and he gets a little glare to Sammy. So we in our minds are like, yeah, he still doesn't trust him. Like even though Jay came and gave him that nice hug and everyone's are in it. The mastermind's like, nah, man, there's something else going on, and I have to, and I
trust him yet.
Yeah, and I loved it. So how'd you feel about this?
The match as a whole, I agree, it just takes too long. I think the 5 minutes in the beginning is too long, and I think they need to shorten up between when individuals come in, because you don't need 3 minutes of me beating the hell out of this one guy until the next guy comes in, and all of a sudden he beats up 2 people. I don't like. Come on, like there's too much downtime in between, like 3 versus 2, and then the third guy comes in to make it 3-on-3, and then he runs house, and then they every single time is how it happened. Like if I had the advantage, was beating you up until the buzzer went off, and then all of a sudden my guy gets released, and now they're beating our asses until we get the advantage again. Like it just whatever. I mean, I get the concept of the match. The match as a whole isn't bad. I don't want to shit all over it because I think it's a good idea. I just think the time in between when that stuff happens is too much. And I think it'd be more interesting if they made it to where there was a match the whole time. So you're trying to survive.
Right.
You have to kick out. You have to not tap. You have to last until your whole team gets out there. If you don't, you just lost for your team. Instead of waiting until your whole team gets there, then the match starts. I think it'd be more interesting if I had a chance to lose this match before my whole team even gets in here. I think that makes more sense. The ending, there's one thing I don't like about this storyline, and it's how bad they're pushing KO and Sammy's friendship. Because let's be honest, this last 5 years, they've been more feuded than they have been teammates.
You've brought this up before too.
So I don't get that whole, they've been best friends for 20 years. Yeah, just last year they're beating the hell out of each other, so it don't matter to me. But I agree, KO is trying to plant some seeds, which we knew was going to happen. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this before, how we thought Sammy was going to be the guy who kind of gets the bloodline and bring down their guard and stabs them in the back, and they do what they need to do. So KO planted that seed. I think Sammy did a good job selling that he was fully committed to the bloodline. But like you said, they made sure to make point of those angles Roman still don't trust Sammy. Even though Sammy gave KO for sacrifice, he still isn't all the way sure about him. And that's exactly what Kevin wanted.
Yeah.
Kevin did that because now Sammy will never fully get Roman's trust, so now Sammy will be more willing to turn on him. Because he's like, oh, I did it. I sacrificed my best friend, and you still don't trust me. Okay, I'm going to cost you now. So it planted the seed to open the door, and that leads into the future, right? Now
Right.
we know KO's going to be either gunning for Sammy or Roman. It doesn't matter. He's gunning for the bloodline. It's these other guys in the matches, which you talked about, Sheamus being hot. I think the Brawling Brutes are great right now. Butch surprisingly impresses me every time he gets in the ring. I don't know how he does it because he doesn't fit in with the type of guys he's going against.
You're
But
right.
he does a perfect job of just putting on great wrestling. So I think we were talking about this before the show. I don't know the future of the pay-per-views, right? I looked it up. It says day one has been canceled. So all we have now is Rumble and Elimination Chamber before Mania. I could see, I said it maybe happening at day one with a triple threat between Drew, Sheamus, and Roman, and then KO going against Sammy for a stipulations match. If I win, I get a title shot
Right.
at Elimination Chamber. But I'm going to backtrack off of that because realizing that Elimination Chamber is before Mania, I think at Rumble we're not gonna get very much from anything. I think it's just Elimination Chamber. We're gonna get like Roman, Drew, KO, Sheamus, maybe Seth. Like we're gonna get a couple different guys in an Elimination Chamber match for the
Right.
title, and I think that's where we see Cody come back at Rumble. That's everybody's hype. Like guess is we're gonna get Cody back at Rumble, which everybody thinks that he's gonna take the strap too. I mean that's my opinion. That's what I think is gonna happen.
You said
Yeah.
this prior. You said this prior to a lot of people too. By the way, if you go into episode our season one, he brought this up during like right after his WrestleMania debut that he thought that Cody would be the one to dethrone him if it wasn't for RKO. So like yeah,
Yeah, and with the news breaking on Randy, doesn't look too great. So I'm going to stick to my story. I think the future is that Cody, because he is a wrestling legacy. I think
hmm
that's the biggest thing we got to remember is it isn't just a random guy like beating Roman. It's a guy with a rich wrestling history, and it's a good story, right? Because he's never won the strap. His pops never won the strap. Like it's the perfect story. Like, and he has all the backing right now, especially after that performance he put on with Seth in that cage match, like that
yeah,
Hell in a Cell match. Coming out there and putting on those guts, his fan base is when he comes back, the pop's going to just about as big as when he made his debut back. Coming back after being hurt, it's going to be like John Cena was at '07 all over again. Like
right.
the pop's going to be insane. Like, oh yeah, we've been waiting for you. Like, we're welcome back. And I think that helps. And I don't know how they're gonna do it. Still, like I said, they have a lot of laid down between these AO, Sheamus, and Drew for
Right.
Roman, but there's not enough time. I don't know how they're gonna play that stuff out. Like I said, now that I'm thinking about it, I think we're gonna see an elimination chamber with all those guys in it, and I think we get Sammy and Jay in there because there's a lot of swirls and twirls. Everybody keeps talking about Jay, and if you remember when the bloodline was originally being brought, Roman had to beat Jay to make him acknowledge him and accept him as a tribal chief.
hmm
Way Jay's been going recently, and I've seen a lot of reports, like people speculating. They might be right. I think Jay might be the wild card, and I think Sammy might actually get Jay to realize that he don't want to be a part of the bloodline. That he's his own bloodline. He's a member of the family too. He could run some stuff and go back to his kind of mentality. Because you remember when Jimmy first came back, that was Jimmy's mentality. Like, yo, bro, we the Usos.
Right.
We've been here longer than him. We've been doing our own thing. Like we're champions on our own right. We don't need him telling us what to do. And they finally convinced him to fall in line. Jay has still got this like once Sammy does whatever he does to make like I told you so. Like you're weak. You don't listen. Blah blah blah. And that's going to cause. We have already been feuding over the last
Yeah.
couple months. I think if Jay, because Jimmy gonna do what Jay do. I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
Jimmy gonna follow his brother. We see that. So I think that I think Jay's the wild card within that faction on how long it lasts. Jay keep acting out of line and he start feeling like, you know what, wait a minute. We bloodline too. We run this. We can run this just as easy as you can. You know, and start feeling some type of way. We might get that. Well, not we do. I don't know. Like I said, as a whole, the whole card don't have a lot of forward progression. We just know for sure that KO is gunning for the bloodline now. We know that for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned two of them. You pay per views, Elimination Chamber, Rumble. Those are like a given. Those are like every season. Like once Road to WrestleMania happens, those are two that happen. But there's no way WWE is not gonna have 4 months and just two pay per views. There's gonna be two other pay per views. There's no way they're gonna drop no pay per view for a month. That's no.
Well, they had two this month, and I don't think they don't usually have one in December anyways because of all the holidays and stuff. So they originally had day one, but that's already been canceled. That's been confirmed. They canceled day one. So right after day one, and when you get February is Rumble.
Rumble's January, like late January.
Late January, and then February. February is Elimination Chamber, and then March is Mania.
Nah, it's April this year, isn't it? Usually it's April. Let me look that up. It's usually April May timeframe.
So I was looking up the schedule earlier, and they only have those two pay per views actually booked. So
it's a close one. It's April 1st, April 1st and April 2nd this year for Mania, which is damn near March anyway. So yeah, you kind of make sense there. I can't think of anything. I mean, yeah, December, of course, yeah, with the holidays happening, I agree. So you might be right. We might only just have two. But you made a good point, though, when you said that about Elimination Chamber. That's where you can get all those feuds squashed in one match. So I can see that. I can see. Hold on, let me get to the. I can see Roman versus KO versus Sheamus versus Drew. And then that's 4. You still need 2. I can see Seth getting in there. That's 5, and then one other
Bobby.
person, and Bobby. Yeah,
Bobby was hurt last time.
That's 6.
Time Max was hurt. So, but I don't know, right? You're gonna find a way to finesse one of the bloodline guys in there. Roman ain't stepping into that cage by himself. I don't believe that. Not at this point. Not the way the faction's set up. It might be Sammy, right? That's might be where you get your turn, right? You might got Sammy in there with you. For your 6th guy. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
sure.
True.
It's just one of those things to where you got 2 pay-per-views, you got a lot of stuff going on with Rumble on the brim. Rumble being on the brim, that's your next guy. It's always been that way. Rumble's I'm main eventing Mania. I'm gonna have Braun at the strap. So having all these feuds within this short amount of time, I mean, I agree with you. You made the comment about Drew. Is that feud's kind of been over once, but they left the door open because they let Solo interfere, and they never really gave Drew another chance. So that door's still open. It's the same thing with Seth. That door's still open because he won by disqualification. And then you have the stuff with Sheamus. Sheamus hasn't got a title shot yet. I think that would be a great match. I think it's perfect for the timing. I think the crowd and the fans are backing enough of Sheamus to where if him and Roman did have a one-on-one for a title match, it would be fine. People would still enjoy that, especially because Sheamus does have the brutes to kind of back him up a little bit from the bloodline. Granted, they're still outnumbered, but you still got KO, who's mad at Sammy because he just turned on him. So you still got some backup there to help you out.
Yeah, and Drew is still mad because Solo stole that thing, that Clash of the Castle, so they're still there.
And so they're still like, okay, we're going to get a one-on-one, and I actually have backup to make sure I actually get a one-on-one, which he won't. That's just how the bloodline operates. Like that, it makes sense storyline-wise that he doesn't have clean victories. He's a heel, bro. He shouldn't have clean victories. I mean, when he does, it's like it's got to be one of those matches like where I can't even say that because Riddle got interference in his match too. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it, but I think the answer is easily throw them all in a cage in Elimination Chamber, let them fight for the strap.
Yep, just wipe it off after that.
Whoever won Rumble is waiting on that winner to see him at Mania, and that's just what it is.
And I like this because I couldn't see it at the time, right? I couldn't see because I was always hyped to get The Rock in there versus Roman to finish it off, but at the end of but even if it did happen, say it did happen, like 100% it happened. What's the story after if The Rock beats him, or say Roman beats him at Mania. Now you still have him hold the title when we all know through speculations and rumors that it's time for him to take a vacation. So for me is now I backtrack, like, you know what, that would have been cool for ratings, but at the same time, Roman needs to lose it this Mania. He has to lose it this Mania. And what better way? Yeah, I know. But for me, I have to, cycle it through. So
See,
with
I made the comment last year. That was my storyline last year.
Yeah.
When Jimmy first came back, there was a lot of like tension between the Usos and Roman, and like Jay trying to get Jimmy to fully get on track. That was the perfect time to bring The Rock in. Once Roman beats The Rock, Jimmy falls in line. That's a storyline that should have happened then.
It's too late now.
I talked about that. We got receipts, bro. I talked about that stuff over a year ago.
No, absolutely.
Like, this is the way you do it, and they didn't. They fumbled it. And now they were talking about, like you said, there's a lot of speculation this year. Oh, we're going to get The Rock versus Roman. I thought it's too late. Why are they fighting? It's too late.
Yeah. That's what exactly what you said a year ago. Last Mania, that would have made sense because now we have the whole cycle for this year coming in. But now it all makes sense. I don't know if you remember the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels build up in WrestleMania 12 for the Iron Man match, where Shawn Michaels goes back to San Antonio to his old coach, and he got him doing train up cardio stuff. I see Cody doing this. I see a Cody thing where Double A comes back from AEW and becomes his trainer again. Brandy's there. I see it where they're getting him ready for that match. He wins Rumble. Then all the other stuff is happening. He'll make his appearance and announcements, but I feel like they're gonna. I really want them to do this. I'm not saying that it'll happen, but they build it up like a UFC boxing type of match, where like you don't see those two fight until Mania, but you see build-ups and promotions all day, every day. Where you see Cody, you see Cody after a Rumble, the Elimination Chamber time frame, just building up his stature, showing vignettes of him training up with Arn Anderson and them, and then beating him cleanly at Mania.
We won't see Arn Anderson. He's an AEW guy. We're not going to see him. But I agree with you. I think you don't ever see Roman and Cody actually go one-on-one. But I do think you see, one by one, Cody run through the bloodline. I think you see that. He beats each member of the bloodline one by one, like not consecutive weeks or anything, but just like, this week I'm fighting Jay. I beat Jay. Or not Jay, my bad, Jimmy. I beat Jimmy. Next week I'm going to fight Solo. I beat Solo. Then I beat Sammy. Now I'm fighting your right-hand man. I beat him too. I'll see you at Mania. And Roman never actually comes out and does anything. Like, that's a common thing where they fight Jay or they fight Sammy. And Roman comes out and spears him at the end. We don't ever see that, right? You just see Roman in the back looking at the wise man like, what are we going to do? Like, this guy, he just come back from injury. He just went through my whole,
I like that. Especially what you said with Jay. I think that would be the Elimination Chamber match. It would be Jay versus Cody to finish up like the whole bloodline saga and saying, hey, I just wiped out the whole bloodline. It's me and you. And of course you brought up the legacy part of him having his lineage. You know what I mean? Like, he has a bloodline as well in wrestling. Yeah, so like you have the Rhodes and the Anawais go at it at WrestleMania, like the titles versus, like, oh man, there's a lot of things that you can build. I'm excited, and I hope what we're asking for, what you've been asking for since Cody's got here, I hope it happens, because it all makes sense now. Like, now that things are happening, unfolding, injuries are a factor too, because now with Randy not in, we all know this is the push now, that we got to get Cody in there. He's going to be the hottest person coming in from return. Like, we have to, bank on this, especially because Triple H, is in charge. I know he's going to like capitalize on that type of momentum. So I'm excited moving forward with this whole storyline.
I never mentioned it before, but like, now that we're talking about it and Triple H being in charge of stuff, I don't think Cody's the only surprise return we get at Rumble either. And I don't mean like some old guy who like, oh, it's been cool to see you. I think like some of those guys have been trying to get out of their contract with AEW, and they actually do. Some of those Triple H guys, I think we're going to see some of those guys back at Rumble. And I don't know that any of them are going to be like a major card, like a push card type thing, but it's just like, I'm back in the scene, Like, been a lot of speculations about Rusev. I don't know if he's actually injured or not, but I would like to see him back in WWE just because his style doesn't really fit in with AEW's. I mean, he had a good run over there, but it's nothing like. They do a lot of technical wrestling, and don't get me wrong, Rusev can do that, but he's a brutality guy.
Yeah.
They already have a Wardlow and a Samoa Joe. They don't need a Rusev. So it's like.
And they're not utilizing him right now. The Redeemer thing was cool, but they're not using him, so it makes sense. I really like that. I really like. What other speculations have you seen about Rumble? Because I haven't really looked into it.
Oh, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any speculations about Rumble outside of the Cody. Everybody anticipates him coming back, but like just when you watch AEW and you see like week to week, some people start to fall back in the back, and then you always see Fightful, whoever it is, pushing out reports that such and such is unhappy with their contract, they want out of it, yada yada. Like there's the what's his name that runs the basically the Mexican cartel. What's his name from AEW?
Andrade.
There's a lot of. I mean, he's married to Charlotte. I wouldn't even want to be with his wife in WWE. You know what I mean? Like, he was another guy who was with Triple H a little bit. So it's like you could see him come back. He might come back and actually be the big boss of that cartel we got now in WWE.
I like that cartel too. I like Legados. I forgot how you say it.
So they already got a little bit of momentum. You bring back him and put him in charge. Like you guys have been going no direction. Come work for me and we'll get here. You know what I mean? So
it's perfect. It's perfect.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff we can see. I don't know if any of it's gonna come out to tuition or intuition, whatever you want to call it. But it's just like, where are we going, right? And talk about this last cast, how we thought Triple H was doing. We all made the comment that it was too early, really to judge on him. I think we're starting to, with this last interview, we're starting to see a little bit more of his stuff. And I think we're moving in a good direction, but a lot of it is cloudy.
Right.
Clear. Which maybe that's good for the business. Maybe that's what we need as fan base. Instead of being so predictable, we really don't know what's going to happen next, and that keeps us on the edge of our seats, But last night's pay-per-view don't give me that. I'm like, I don't know where we're going. I don't really care because none of this shit matters. Like, You didn't give me anything good enough to matter, and I think that's the disconnect. It could be cloudy as long as it matters, and right now you didn't give me that
at all. And moving forward, of course, and I like how you said this last cast, and I've been doing it now too. Is like I try not to read into a lot of stuff because I like to organically be surprised of the returns and debuts, and because that's what happened with WrestleMania when Cody came back. I didn't read shit, right? I didn't. Now everyone would tell me like it would be Cody, and I'm like,
there's a lot of speculations, yeah.
Yeah, so like people would tell me, but I wouldn't read into it. And of course, it only made sense for Cody. But like when his song dropped, that's when I was like, oh shit! Like they actually they brought his song with him into it, and they brought the whole personality with it too. So I was like, oh, that's pretty dope.
It's actually a shout out to Todd because I had not introduced you guys yet at this point. But before Cody come back, Todd had told me, he was like, yeah, Cody's going back to WWE. And I told him, I was like, no way, man.
Yeah.
Dude's smoking dope, man. Like, that dude ain't going back to WWE. Like, after all the BS that they've been through, like, between, like, everything, there was no way he was going back. And Todd's like, I'm telling you, man, he's going back. It's got to be him. So shout out to Todd because, I know he don't read a lot of stuff either. So the fact that he knew that, like, from what he could see, what he was getting together, he called it. And I didn't believe him. So the same thing you said, like, heard about like, nah, there's no way. I actually, who did I think it was? I forget whoever was. I knew someone was coming back, but I forget who I said it was going to be. And, it wasn't that individual, so.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to understand, this Monday, what the heck is going on with WWE, what we're figuring out. Hey, you see in AEW, Malachi Black is back, so obviously it's not going to be him. It's not going to be him coming to the Rumble. But this Rusev one, I'm going to not look into it, but I'm looking forward to this because I don't know about y'all, but Royal Rumble is my favorite all time. I used to, like, growing up, like, ever since my cousin won it in 93, I was like, I've always been a fan of fucking Royal Rumble, like the countdowns and who's coming in. Like, this Rumble, we all know, you're going to get a lot of old school, like, wrestlers coming in just to do a surprise. Kofi's going to do something amazing type of, save.
Maybe he didn't do much last year.
He fucked it up. That's why it was a botch. Like he was supposed to do something and he accidentally fell. So what I think it was this year last year where they hit him off the rope and he tried to get onto the barricade, but his feet slipped and it touched. So he was out, but he was supposed to do something. It just didn't happen. Yeah. So hopefully, you know,
I'm excited. I don't know. I haven't heard much about Big E. I know we keep talking about speculation about him coming back soon. He could be another Rumble guy. You know?
He's cleared. He's cleared to fight.
Is he? I haven't seen anything about him.
No, it was an interview. I forgot what interview I watched where he was on, and like he was just happy that he gets to get bumps again and shit like that. Like he hasn't been cleared to actually fight, but he was cleared to actually train up to get back.
That's cool. I want to get him at Rumble too. And this is kind of off the subject with the pay-per-view, but we're talking about the future of the business, everything going on. So I gotta fill it out because I was watching Friday and I kind of. How do you feel about Hit Row?
I mean, I like what they're trying to do. They're just one of those lower card factions to me, unless like they figure something out. I like the wrestling they bring. It's just I don't know. It looks like
They remind me too much of Crime Time, and I feel like they're knockoffs. Like it just
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of them. I'm a fan of the Top Dollar on that A&E channel, but not on wrestling. Like I'm not a big fan of it. What about how do you feel about Legado whatever?
The crew? I like him. Just not using them. I don't know.
But he's going for the title against he's going for the World Cup first with Ricochet, and I don't know if he'll beat Ricochet, but still, like they have him on a little kind of push right now. Which
that's what I wanted to talk to you about was Gunther. Why do they have Gunther running from Braun like that?
Nah, that's another thing. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
The guy I'm acting like. I get it, because Braun's supposed to be the monster of monsters, but that's not Gunther's character, bro. Like
yeah.
And I don't know. They did it better on Friday. He didn't actually run on Friday, but he got out of the ring and avoided him. The first time they met, he ran. He was acting like a little. This time they kind of cleaned it up. He didn't really run. He got in the ring, hit him a couple times, avoided him, got out. Kind of reminds me like a Randy type of situation where I'll hit my strike and I'll avoid you and let you. I'll see you next time type of deal. So they kind of cleaned it up. But I think that's a big one. I think Braun versus Gunther is going to be a big match that we're going to get to see. But like you said, they got that World Cup going, so we're really going to see that because Gunther's supposed to fight the winner of that.
Right.
So I don't know. It's.
That's a good question too. Is like why didn't Gunther? Man, that's another thing. Why I'm getting pissed off with the IC titles. It's never like Gunther should have fucking fought last night. Bray Wyatt should have done something last night. I mean, I don't know, man. And I'm not a fan of. I like LA Knight. Don't get me wrong, because in Impact, Eli Drake, his character, I loved it. I just don't like. I don't know. How do you feel about that before we close it up?
The Bray situation's taking too long. We waited long enough to see this man back in the ring. He need to get back in the ring. I get it. They're trying to build it up, and there's a lot of speculation that LA Knight is actually one of the members of White 6. So they're setting it up to where he's going to get taken. I don't know. I like LA Knight too. I think he's pretty clean in the ring. He's good on the mic. I think the bad thing for LA is he's being brought into Bray's timeline, and Bray's timeline right now is way too slow. Fans are starting to get impatient, which, you'll get both sides. Some fans say, oh, you guys are too impatient, or, oh, they take too long. Like, it's you're never going to make everybody happy. I just think we waited so long to see Bray back. At this point, that's all we want to see is him in the ring, and we're not getting it.
Hey, before I close up, you might not care about this, but I'm a huge fan of this guy, and of course he's been like dropped ever since NXT, but we haven't seen Bobby Roode in a long time. And is he hurt? I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of him, like going back to, of course, Impact. You know, you remember him in Impact, but I really want him to get back to that heel type of person. Like I didn't like a lot after the glorious NXT run. That was it. It was done. Like there was nothing else they had for him, and I get mad because he's such a great talent, man. Like he has the look, he has the mic skills. He's a great wrestler. It's like
Just
they,
old.
it just sucks, man. How old is
Waited
he?
too long. He waited too long to make the jump, and I think that's the biggest problem. And I mean, I shouldn't call it a problem because he has a great career outside of WWE. Don't get me wrong. It's just as a WWE, when you're in WWE, we want to see you performing. And we know what you're capable of, and you're not getting that push. It goes back to because you're old. You know, we know that. He's
It
not
sucks.
an AJ. He's not an AJ type of guy. So
Right.
he wasn't going to come in and get that type of push. He was always going to be a mid-Carter type push. But he's older. He can't stay healthy. I mean, this is his third time being hurt in the 5 years he's been here. So
Sucks, man. I was a huge fan growing up, watching him,
yeah, he's
man.
great.
Yeah. So look, I enjoyed this talk, man. Again, Survivor Series, WWE, you gotta get better next year, man. I don't know what angle, but it shouldn't be War Games no more. Because if you say War Games, I'm not watching that shit. I'm gonna watch the highlights.
If you do war games, you just got to lower. You got to do two things: lower the time limit between participants, and two, make it falls count at any time. You got to actually survive, dog. This Survivor Series, you got to survive.
Yeah, that because that whole thing of just beating each other up until everyone's there, that shit was trash. I'm like, no, man, like, kind of make it like a tag team elimination chamber. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they should have done. But anyways, that's another talk. Hey Todd, shout out to Todd, shout out to Aaron, shout out to everyone that couldn't make it. Mario out there in the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, you know, defending freedom. All my boys that love wrestling, man. Tim, until next time, I'll get with you on the chat. We'll talk again, my boy.
Yes, sir.